Welcome to Lesson 2 of Writing Music Strings for Beginners. In this tutorial series, I will start to explain how to make music in Java that can be played with a JFugue player. I'll explain everything slowly at first. We will build up to more complex things. This is Lesson 2. Let's get started. Part 1. In the last video, I created a string and a string array that held a C major scale. It included the octave and duration, that is, the 4 and the Q. This limited the use of the string array in writing music. Though it had its limit, it was enough to get started. The thing is, it also limited our use of the notes in the scale. We can define the scale without the duration. Each of the strings in the string array named C major scale can delete the Q on the end. When the scale array variable does not supply the duration, then the duration must be specified somewhere else. A string array called dir does this. We have not seen other durations than Q for quarter. H stands for half. I stands for eighth. The string array dir uses all three I, Q, and H. The H have been placed to align with the zeros in the integer array pat. To remind you of what it sounds like with only duration code Q, music is written like the scale as if Q was the only duration. A rest is written to the music string. This provides a pause. It is a R followed by a duration code. Here, RW means rest for a whole note. Finally, the music is written with different durations from the duration string array. Next is to get a player and call player.play, passing the music string. It sounds like this. In part 2, I show that getting other scales is easy. You're not limited to the C major scale. Let's go about getting E minor scale. Open the browser. In Google, search E minor scale. The search results will have the scale or a link to a page with the scale. When we have found the scale, the next part is to get it into a string array in Eclipse. Copy the text from the browser with the scale. I have the string array already started for this scale. Next is to paste the notes that I copied between the curly brackets. Next we have to put quotes around the note names. Note, some sites have special characters for flats and sharps. That's the lowercase b shape and the pound sign characters. These special characters need to be changed to a simple lowercase b and the pound sign that is made with pressing Shift 3 on the keyboard. The E minor scale had to replace the sharp symbol. If I do it again for F major, then the F flat symbols need to be watched out for. I also added the octave 4 to the end of the notes. Using the same pat and dir arrays, it is now time we get a music string and write. Before we do, I created a string array that can hold any string array, so both the E minor scale and the F major scale and the C major scale could all be stored in it. This is important so we can write music and change the scale easily if we want. I write the music in both scales, the E minor and the F major, with a rest of a whole note in between. I get a player and call player.play passing the music string. It sounds like this. Part 3. In this part, we create the scale again. This time we want only the note. We need to get rid of the octave. To do this, all that is needed is to delete the 4s in the string array for the scale. Since the octave is gone, we must supply it somewhere else, or we would just use the default octave. An integer array can do this. Then we create a music string. We write the music string with a for loop. First is the scale, which is the note with the pattern from pat. Second is the octave. Its length is not the same as dir or pat, so the modulus operator is needed. The last part is the duration supplied in the string array dir. Next we get a player and call the player.call function passing in the music string. It sounds like this. Part 4. In this part, I use an integer for the index. This is needed because some of the array index can be of any length and span over more than just one loop variable. While using a loop, the integer can be used. When nested loops are used, these variables may not be what you want. The duration string array has 15 elements, and octave array has 30. If I want to progress through each array and not stop and restart every time one loop ends, only for it to start again in some place different from where it left off, I need a separate index to do that. When I write to the music string, I use 2 for loops. The loop with an integer I as the variable iterates the pat elements. The other loop repeat 3 times. Some of the variables could use a separate index to keep track of where in their array index they left off. Relying on the I variable is not enough. When the loop with the I is done, it will start up again. When that does that, I don't want it to reset the octave and duration. I want it to be able to use an index that will last longer than the for loop. This is where the integer index comes in. If I put the index in the octave and dir square brackets, then these patterns will progress even over the for loop. I also need to use the modulus operator. That is the % sign. Operators followed by the name of the array with a dot length called. This way, when one array is done, it starts again even if the other arrays have not yet ended. Don't forget to advance the index. Here I added 1 to the index variable on every time through the for loops. Now I get a player and call player.play and pass the music string. It sounds like this. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and ring the bell. And don't forget to like the video.